first and foremost, I want to, like I've said right from the beginning, we are discussing or practicalizing monitoring and logging with Prometheus and Grafana. I want to believe that, I don't know how many of us we've heard of Grafana or Prometheus before. Let me see our hands up. If you have heard of that name, Prometheus, Grafana, okay? And before now, we have been doing quite a number of presentations on other things. We've talked about different infrastructure. Like yesterday, Mr. Olorunfemi discussed more about infrastructure, talking about our application, then also our servers. And if before now too, we've been talking about different things. And while we are talking about deployment of these different things, the main reason to ensure the maximum uptime of these devices, we need to keep them under monitoring to ensure that, yes, we're able to obtain or get up to like 99.9% uptime. And that is the essence of this workshop and this presentation right now. We want to be able to monitor everything we have deployed. So monitoring and logging with Prometheus and Grafana. And the tools that can help us to do this is actually Prometheus and Grafana. It's one of those two. So my objective in this class today, or in this workshop today, with this short time I have, is to understand the core principle of observability. Because there is no way you are talking about monitoring that you will not mention observability. Then we have decided to choose a tool that can help us in monitoring our infrastructure. And that's why we are talking about Prometheus. So we're going to be learning Prometheus architecture and PromQL. That's the query language used. And then we're going to be talking about Prometheus configuration. Then with the exporters, we have different type of exporters, but basically we'll be talking about node exporter today. And then we have some other form of application exporter that I will be showing us in the course of the practical class. Then we're going to be looking at visualization. That's we visualize the metrics by using Grafana's dashboard. So that's the objective in this class today. On Wednesday, I know quite a number of us might not have done that, but still, we are going to still engage in this workshop. He told us to install VM. Maybe, how many of us did that? But how many of us have virtualization platform on your, okay? So that you can also follow up as I'm doing the installation here. You can also be doing it on your own desktop. So there are tools that we'll be using in the course of this workshop. We're going to be using Prometheus and Grafana, just like I've said, and also Prometheus node exporter. You will know the meaning of all this thereafter. Then we're going to be looking at alerts manager, then probably virtual machine too. Those are the tools we're going to be using in this class. With the time I have, yes, I've discussed all this. So this is just the agenda, which I've also let us know. The agenda for this discussion, we have just 2 hours. I want to maximize the 2 hours. I know the 2 hours is not enough. But as much as possible, whatever we need to skip, we will skip. Whatever we need to dwell on, we're going to dwell on to be able to maximize our time. So this is the time we'll be using on all our discussion. Now, straight to business. Monitoring. From your knowledge of monitoring, or when you hear the word monitoring, just like I like the way the presenter yesterday, that's Mr. Olorunfemi, took the class. He make it practical. And engineering, for me as a person, anything I cannot conceptualize or try to see it with the image of my conceptualize it, I find it difficult to understand. And that is engineering. And that's why most times they represent things with equation so that you can have a basic understanding. You're able to, they are not abstract. So also the terms we are using in today's lecture, they are not abstract. They are things that we normally use. If I say I'm monitoring my children, what does that mean? So we're going to, I know we all know what the term means, monitoring. Or I remember when I was in primary school, what we used to call our class captain is monitor. I don't know if any of you class monitor exactly. So the same thing applies to Grafana. That's what we're going to be using to monitor our devices. So a brief definition of monitoring relative to monitoring relative to what we are doing today. Sorry. Yeah, so the systematic process of collecting, one, just note that word because those are the things we're going to be implementing today. Collecting, analyzing, and using data to track the health, the performance, and availability of systems, services, and infrastructure. It provides real-time visibility and help detect issue before they impact user. Looking at our screen, we can just see the collection of data, the analyzing of data, and then interpretation of data, and then we have it on our board here to monitor what's actually happening. So that is monitoring. All the application you deployed yesterday, your pod, your some other called VM, your Kubernetes, your Docker can be monitored using Prometheus. That's one. Then observability. Yes, that's even the core. Because I said there is no way you are talking about monitoring that you're not going to talk about observability. So observability combines all this together. Normally we have logs. I know we know the difference between all these. We have logs, we have metrics, we have traces. I know we have all heard of these terms before. You must have heard of this term. Logs. Who can tell me what logs are? Or their formats. They are like text file. They are text. And so those are logs. Then we also have metrics. Who can define metrics for me? When we say metrics. Unit of measurement, yes. Another definition. Okay, let me define the work. I'm still coming back to this. The capability of a system to allow operators to understand its internal state by examining its external output, such as logs, metrics, and traces. Observability enables proactive diagnosis and resolution of system issues, even complex distributed environments. When we talk about the cloud, we are talking, Mr. Femi was talking yesterday, talking about enterprise deployments. You cannot be here and say you want to go and look at what is happening on a server from one server to the other. You should have a dashboard where you can sit down and monitor everything. On a click, you can tell this is what is happening. And with a click also, you can resolve the problem. So when issues happen, you don't need to be calling. You know who to call to solve an issue. Even sometime before such issues happen. That is why we're having monitoring monitoring and observability. So let's go to the terms logs and traces. Okay, just a little difference between the two. Jesus is Lord. So like I said, observability and monitoring involve collection, analysis, and usage of data, while observability involves the use of these metrics. It emphasizes understanding the internal state of a system based on external output. It's just what I've discussed before. Okay, so the major pillars used in this monitoring are metrics, logs, and traces. This is what gives us visibility into what is happening on our system. When you talk about metrics, they are numerical measurement of system behavior. You will see them being expressed in numbers. And then when you talk about logs, like I said, they are record of events, discrete events in the system, logs. If something happens now, we say go and check the log. You read the log and be able to tell what has happened on a particular system. And then traces, information about requests as they flow through the system. I know this is one of the tools that network engineers use very well. They say trace routes. You just want to know what is happening between one end to the other. Sorry, we have power. I hope we are still on. Okay. So, please, do we get it? I want to be sure that we are following. Do we get it? So, like I said, metrics, you can see represented in numbers. Logs, they are represented, they are contextual, they are text. White traces give us information as information flow from one end to the other. So these are the things that Grafana we put together and then make we get the interpretation from Prometheus we put together, and we get the information from real information from Grafana. You can also get all the details to a certain extent from Prometheus, but if you want more graphical representation of all this, we'll get that in Grafana. Am I communicating? Okay. Please, if you have any question, you can ask. We're going to be doing more of practical, but we just need this background. So like I said, observability combines monitoring, logging, and tracing to understand system behavior. So if you want to understand how your system behaves, you monitor it, you get the log, all the traces, everything happen within a system. That is what observability is all about. So this is just giving us a little bit of difference between monitoring and observability. So let me just dwell on that a little bit. So if you look at monitoring track known issue. The issue has happened. So you're able to monitor and say, oh, this event has happened. But observability dictates unknown issue. What you don't even know that is happening. Observability will help you to do that. And they use all these, the metrics, the alerts, they are all things that the system use to help us to be able to observe our system. Then alert based on rule, alert used by data teams. Good for immediate flag, proactive prevention. So observability is more useful than just monitoring. With observability, you're able to tell or be able to quickly, proactively prevent an event that would have happened. For example, if your hard disk is filled up and you are not monitoring it or you are not observing it, by the time it gets to 99%, it could cause the application not to function very well. I mean, it could even crash the application itself. So with observability, you'll be able to know all this before the event takes place. So key reason for observability, I've mentioned all those importance of observability, so I don't need to dwell on that. But one thing I want to just point out here is that every service provider, what they are all after is uptime. And that is where I want to dwell more. Uptime, uptime, uptime. And then it also helps us in, that's why I like this, capacity planning. Yesterday, Mr. Femisi mentioned the scalability. If you are designing a system, you design it in a way that you know that it's going to be scalable at the end of the day. You don't design a system that after 2 or 3 years, you have to go and start again from the foundation again. So with observability, it helps you to know when to quickly scale up or you scale down. So in most cases, it's scaling up. So it forecasts demand and then resource allocation. It's able to tell you, this disk is getting filled up. And that is what all those automated systems we use. Oh, this is already getting filled up. Quickly expand on the disk. The network is getting slower. What is happening? There could be some other unexpected traffic. What you could quickly just go and resolve the problem. So observability helps us in capacity planning of our infrastructure. Now, to the business of the day. We're going to talk about Prometheus. like I mentioned earlier on, is for matrix, for collection of data and then analyzing it, collecting metrics from systems and application. So we can collect metrics from our application, from our disks, from whatsoever that makes up your infrastructure. You keep collecting metrics from them. Then it stores storing time series data. Yes, it gets this data and also store them. Then it's scrapping. These are functionality of Prometheus. It's also scrap exporter, e.g. we have, like I said earlier on, we have different type of exporters. We have node exporter. This is another black box exporter. You can have MySQL exporter. If you want to monitor your MySQL in an application, that means you are going to export, you're going to install such exporter on that system so that they can export those information to your Prometheus. Then it's also send alert via alert manager. So in short, summary, it provides the data source for metrics in an observability pipeline. You will get to understand this very soon. This is just a background. So like looking at this diagram now, these are our servers. On all these servers, we are going to practicalize this, but please, I want you to be able to conceptualize this very well so that by the time we are doing it on the system, we are deploying it, you know what you are deploying, and you're able to understand and see it. These are your infrastructures. On this infrastructure, you are going to, and then you have a Prometheus server here. Can we see it very well? Yeah, so this is your Prometheus server. These are your application servers. And then what you're going to do, Prometheus store configure, there's a file called, like yesterday I was asking Mr. Femi, he was talking about YAML file. But if you look at this, we call it YML. So like I have to confirm from him yesterday, it's also called YAML. It's also a YAML file, it's a configuration file. So what happened here is that you install your Prometheus here, and this your Prometheus will be the one monitoring all these devices. You could have application in this too, your databases, your application, and your CPU, your hard disk, and all that. So on this particular server, you are going to install a node exporter on this. Not only node exporter, like I said, we have different type of exporters to export all that is happening on your system. You have MySQL exporter. You will get to see all those different type of exporter. So this exporter that you install here will be the one fetching everything that is happening in this system and feeding it to this man. That's the Prometheus server. Am I communicating? It's just like you implant, just like we have, for example, Trojan Ox. Just an example. The way you would Trojan will enter into a place and start getting information and sending it out to whoever wants to send it. So it's like who can give me another term for this node exporter? I want us, like a spy, okay? Yes, it's more or less like a spy, but it's legally. Okay. Sorry for the break in transmission. So as I was saying, um, discussing about node exporter. So you can see here you have SNP exporters, you have node exporter, SNP exporter, and that is why you have different type of exporters. So depending on those things you want to monitor on your server or in your infrastructure, that will determine the kind of exporter you will install on your server. Am I communicating? You will get to see all those type of exporter. Then there is a file in your Prometheus that will help you to be able to get to this application or this server. That's what we call the YAML file, Prometheus.yml file. So that's where you configure your nodes, most especially as it relates to the IP address, the name of the node itself, the name of the application. So it's in the YAML file that you'll be able to configure all the information about node you want to monitor or the application you want to monitor. It's in this YAML file that you are going to do that, which we are going to do as time goes on. Are we getting the flow? Okay.
Thank you, Engineer Bola. Please, I want you to move to the previous slide. Yeah. What I want to ask is this: this Prometheus server, is it a physical dedicated server for monitoring, or is it just a virtual server? Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So it all depends on you. So it could be, normally, but it depends on your own case. You can decide and install your Prometheus on a bare metal. That's on a physical machine. But in most cases, you will have them in a VM, virtualized environment. So if you want to, this is what happened. A physical server. So you can decide to virtualize the physical server and then have your VM in them and then install your Prometheus in that VM. You can as well even decide to Dockerize your Prometheus and put it in a Docker, like he was saying yesterday. Quite a number of applications this day, they don't put them, it's not, VM is getting out of place gradually. Most especially when it has to do with enterprise deployment. So your Prometheus is an application that you will install in your OS. First and foremost, you have your server, a physical server. But your physical server, there are times that you can virtualize your physical server so that you can have multiple machines on them. So in your VM, you install an operating system, a Linux operating system. It could be Windows, it could be Linux, it could be Mac. So in your OS now, you will now install Prometheus on it. Do we get it? Or I need to write? Are we on this system now? You have Windows operating system. You can decide to install Prometheus on this Windows system and then use it now on the network to be monitoring every other system that is here, in as much as those systems are on the network. So Prometheus is an application. Grafana is an application meant for a certain purpose. Then inside your OS operating system, you now install your Prometheus. So you can install your Prometheus on a bare metal. When I mean bare metal, that means it's not a virtualized environment. Direct installation. The OS is sitting on the machine directly. Exactly. Do we get it? Thank you. Any question? Okay, so now this is another view. Like I said, if you're able to visualize it, by the time we start, you will understand what is happening. Just like our instructor yesterday was also trying to do, which I enjoy. That is the best approach that I like. And so this is it now. This is your Prometheus server. And then this is these are your nodes. Everything you have them here. So Prometheus server does three things basically. retrieves. You know, I told you about node exporters. So it retrieves. I told you about the servers initially, that you install node exporter that is calling like a, and like a spy. You install it on your node. So your Prometheus server will retrieve those information. If you don't install those exporters in that server or in your application server, there is no way Prometheus is going to be able to monitor those servers. So node exporter or SNMP exporter or MySQL exporter, things like that have to be installed. So if you want to monitor your database, to know what is happening on your database, that means you need to install like an MySQL exporter, so that everything that is happening regarding your database is feeding it into your Prometheus. And then you create a dashboard where you'll be able to monitor those things. So it retrieves. Then we have the time series database, which on a good day, things like that that happens concurrently. It's not good you have it on HDD this day. There's SSD now because the data is running all the time. You want it to be fast. You want it to be as it's happening, you are getting it, it's processing it. So you have this here. Then this now push it to your Prometheus, the dashboard, which you can as well begin to send as an alert, or you also send it to your Grafana, which is what we are going to do today. Let me explain it again. This is your Prometheus server, just like, let me stay here so that I want to compare the two diagrams now so that you can see. Sorry. One, you can see this is your Prometheus server. So I'm going back there now. This is your Prometheus server. So this server does three things. It retrieves information from those three servers that you saw there. They are the one here now. I mean, this one's here. Yeah, the application. They are the one represented here in this place. Do you get it? Then this is your server. It pulls this information. It retrieves information from your servers, from your application into display. It stores them here. This is like an hard disk. Do you get it? So this information that is stored here via HTTP, it pushes them to the Prometheus. And then you can read from Prometheus. But because we want better visualization, we can decide and pick this information that is coming from here, Prometheus, and then push it to Grafana. And that's what we're going to do. Then we'll be able to visualize it. At the same time, you can also configure it to send you alerts when some certain things happen. Am I communicating? So, do we understand the flow? It's very simple flow. Please, if you have questions, I want us to, let's ask questions. If you don't understand anything here right now. Online participants, please let me check. Is there any concern?
Thank you, sir. Sir, that means with this Prometheus, you cannot monitor other servers that you don't have this exporter installed.
Exactly. Even if you configure the IP on the YAML file, you know you have a YAML file.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I mentioned the YAML file. Even if you put the IP, the details of the server in that YAML file, it will not read anything, because what is supposed to pick those information is not there in that server. So you have to, everything you want to monitor, you must always install an exporter into it. Okay.
I just want to ask that you mentioned that the HTTP server pulls and it alerts the Prometheus. You said Prometheus.
This is Prometheus. This is the server itself.
Prometheus server.
Prometheus server. So here that I'm talking about Prometheus here is more or less like the user, the web interface, where you're able to visualize. It's still part of. It's more or less like still part of this. The way you are seeing this now is more or less like it's still part of this. this PromQL, the one that does the query, queries the information here and then send it to the web. Time we go into
Okay, thank you, sir. So the question I wanted to ask is, I see that the architecture of Prometheus is pool metrics. So in cases where there is an issue with, let's say, the server you're monitoring, how, since it's a pool metrics, is it not, don't you think there's going to be an issue compared to maybe some other counterparts that are push instead of pull?
I think there's also a push aspect of it. So let me understand your question very well. In case the server goes down,
Or
and
any
since it depends
on the exporter that is there.
it depends on the exporter.
Yeah.
So if the server itself goes down, that means there won't be way to monitor those. Yes, I get what you're saying. There's also a push. There's also a push aspect of it. You can see this. Yes, there's also a push so that you can also push, but we are not just dwelling on that because Prometheus is doing this for us. But there's also a push aspect of it, which in most cases have not done that aspect before. Yes. But there's a push aspect of it and there's also a pull aspect of it. So that peradventure, when it's down, at least there will be an information to send out that, oh, the server itself that is doing the monitoring is down. Is that not what you're saying? Yeah.
Going down is an anomaly. I think it will also have a way of
you
yes, that it will be designated and sent to it.
Thank you. Online, okay.
For this situation now, this architecture, is there a way that you could put in some security such that some other person, like third party or unauthorized person, would not be able to get into the system and be monitoring your own system, since you installing the exporters on your server that you want to monitor. Another person and it's exporting this information out. Is there a possibility of those information being hijacked and then being monitored by someone else?
Okay.
And then what security measure can you put in place?
Okay, thank you very much. I like that question. You know, before you install on this server, on the server you are monitoring, you own it. So you have access to it. Number one. So that means you are the only one who can decide to install on it. And then the details, by the time we get to the YAML file and our configuration, you will see that nobody can do it except the person that has the knowledge about what you want to monitor. So it can be hijacked.
Okay, I want to refer us to the security segment as well. So when we're doing under security, you remember we said there is this virtualization model. And then yesterday, both instructors and the other person, they were talking about, and that's the trend we're talking about in security, that if you remember the landscape, what we are securing these days are different. We're talking about securing containers, securing virtual machines. All the security around those area are the underlying security. That's why access will not be able to reach. If you remember the virtualization security model, so under that kind of security model now, there are securities around the virtual machines that are housing this kind of applications. That's where we can tighten all of those. Of course, it's a possibility that as you are monitoring, they also want to monitor. But those underlying securities around the container, around the virtual machines, all of them, they surround this kind of applications.
Okay. I just wanted to throw some light to your question. So there's something called Prometheus operator. You can use that to actually configure role-based access control for your Prometheus server itself, so that whatever exporter that is writing to your Prometheus server has authorization to do that. And there's also a transport layer security that can be implemented, TLS or SSL certificates
I can configure on both of them so that anybody trying to sniff the traffic would obviously not get correct data but encrypted data.
You will see what you just mentioned now. You will see those few things in our configuration, the TSL. You will see all those configurations. Like I said, there's no way we can cover everything within 2 hours, but it's just like an enlightenment, a foundation. We can't go into the detail. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Please, my question is just that Prometheus server and the application server, the kind of exporter we are going to install on the board, is it the same fashion or different fashion for the receiver and the sender end? Or we are only going to check them?
You know, the exporter itself is going to be on the client exactly, or let's use the word, what you want to monitor. So you install the same version on them all. You call it a client server thing. If you, you know, okay. You know, most time when you talk client server, that means the server is feeding the, yes. Okay. But you know, the Prometheus is a different application. Why the node exporter is a different ball game. So it's only on this, except you want to monitor your application in your node exporter. You want to monitor the server itself. You will see that you will now install node exporter 2 on the server itself. So that's even part of what we're going to do. You will install on Prometheus server itself a node exporter to be able to monitor its own self. Do we get it? Just like you want to monitor this, you also want to be knowing what is happening in my server. The monitor is monitoring it. Go ahead.
Is it possible for a node exporter to crash?
There's nothing that cannot crash.
Okay. If it can crash, is there any mechanism in place for the server to detect?
Yes, that's the essence of monitoring. You remember I said that, for example, if you have your application on a storage, maybe on an hard disk, and then the hard disk is getting filled up, and you are not monitoring it, after some time, all the application on that particular machine will not be able to function again because you have exhausted all the space in that storage. It will find it difficult to do some basic processing because there won't be much space to do such processing again. So at that point, the application can crash and will no longer function again. Do you get it? Yeah. So this is just a brief of everything we have discussed. I don't need to dwell on this again. It's just a flow to understand how it works. Prometheus, time series server, retriever, alert, then HTTP. Queries it. Do you want me? This is all that I've been explaining since. Yes. So, can we look through it? And adventure, if you have any question in the flow. This is all that I've been explaining. Just like the other diagram in another way. You can read this now to understand all that I have said. Sorry, please, let's look at it very well. Do we understand? If you don't understand, please, let me see your hand up. If you don't understand this diagram. By the time we are doing the installation, I don't just want us to look at it that you are copying and pasting command. You will be able to see what we are actually doing and be able to, since we are not all server administrator, but we can understand the concepts of the way this infrastructure are being monitored. And if someone even tell you something, you can as well say, no, it's not like this. Because I know we can't all be server administrator. We have our different roles. But it's also a good thing for us to have an idea of how these things work. Are we clear? No question. So,
Thank you, Engineer. Well, I'm just wondering the items will be in the log.
the log.
On the log, what should we be expecting? And then is there
Sorry,
room?
come again.
What should we be expecting in the log? Log. What are the activities that are logged?
Okay.
Like the IP address of the person trying to access, or what are those things that we can see from the log?
Everything the system is doing, you will be able to get. Though most time, okay, software developer will be able to tell us more about log, but there are things that the manufacturers decided right from the time they are building the application that anything that is happening regarding the disk, the person that log in, whatever the person is doing, log everything.
So
it all depends. Like an application developer, some persons mistakenly might not add those, but those things don't happen most time again because development has gone beyond what only you will do. So there are some templates that you will just naturally follow as you are developing an application that you just have to, those log will come up. I don't know if you are a developer. Who is a developer here? Okay, Prof wants to speak. Okay, sir.
Okay, thank you, Engr, for making it so explicit. Yeah, I think it was Dr. Ejidokun that was asking about how do you know the status of your hard disk, and you responded that of course if the hard disk is exhausted, the entire system can even be grounded. So having the hard disk and all the components monitored is very critical. So I just want to share our current monitoring platform because we have had downtime on Coding Hub on account of the hard disk being almost full anyway, or being full sometimes. So just I need you to shed light on how that aspect can be kept in order to monitor. Hello, am I audible?
No, the last part was not audible.
Okay, I said I wanted to share my screen.
Okay.
That so that we can see what we are monitoring and why the hard disk monitoring is not active.
So what we want to demonstrate now is we all know, we have high performance computing cluster here, and we have FEDGEN test bed. So all those things are being monitored with Prometheus and Grafana. So he wants to show you practically to see what is happening on the monitoring. Just like he discussed the hard disk, you will see the state of your hard disk, your CPU, and all that. So he's going to be sharing. Okay, it's already been shared. We will do this today by his grace. So, Prof, you can go on.
Hello. Hello.
Okay.
Wow.
We can hear you, Prof.
We can hear you.
Okay. So we can. This is Coding Hub. That's the platform for our cloud-based coding. So we have the memory being monitored. Okay, we have the number of Jupyter servers being monitored. We have the total number of users there, and of course the activity within previous days. But hard disk monitoring is not showing here. So kindly shed light on that. That is the question that somebody was asking. And we've had instances that the hard disk will be like full, and we are not able to access servers that we are working on.
Okay.
So I just want you to also shed light on that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. So from what you just showed now, it said hard disk is not shown. So like I said, it all depends on the way you configure it. Your node exporter, you have different type of JSON file that Prometheus has, Grafana, both, the two are working together, that you are going to upload to your Grafana to be able to monitor, to your Prometheus. that will help you interpret what is happening. So if you are not uploading the kind of JSON file into the system, it won't be able to monitor what it's supposed to monitor. I will show you all this in the live application of all this. So there are types of file that you need to monitor. And JSON file, even though you say, oh, I want my application to be monitoring my hard disk, and you did not install all the JSON file that will help the Prometheus or the Grafana to be able to interpret those data, there is no way you'll be able to see it on your dashboard. So in the course of this class, I will show us, when we get to the practical class, I'll be able to break it down and you see the way all these things operate. So, but on a good day, I felt that it might likely be configuration issue, because what was uploaded there is a node exporter, and a node exporter would normally carry everything that has to do with the node, with the infrastructure, the CPU, the RAM, the network, everything that has to do with the hardware. The node exporter is supposed to be able to interpret it, and you see it on the dashboard. So when we are doing our own, we're going to see. So if we don't see it, then we can now begin to query what is happening. So that hard disk we are talking about, as I say, you would have seen it that my hard disk, that's where observability comes to play. You would have observed it, oh, this hard disk is getting exhausted. And then you quickly do whatever you want to do. So the node exporter that you were asking, can it crash? You would have prevented it from crashing. Don't worry, you will understand it. It's very simple. Very, very simple. I try as much as possible to make it like ABC kind of thing. So now this is Grafana. We'll talk a little about Grafana. So Prometheus will help you to pick all the metrics, the logs, everything, most especially the metrics, for you to have a better visualization and understand what is happening. Grafana is in the best position to do that for you. Do we understand? So visualizing data from Prometheus and other sources, e.g. Locky for log, Giga for traces, you use Grafana. Creating dashboard with real-time graph and its map, Grafana will help you. Managing alerts, so it can also help you. Unifying observability, signal, log, metrics, traces, putting everything together for you to be able to tell what is happening on the system. You know, there are times that one single information will not give you a better insight. But by the time, just like doctor will do, they will say, go and do, they can tell you to go and do 10 different types of tests just for them to be able to get to a conclusion. You are having a headache, don't mean that it might be as a result of stress. So it doesn't mean maybe you are tired or maybe you did not sleep well. So they can tell you to go and do 3 types of tests so that at least if out of those 3, 2 show positive, they can easily say, oh, this is actually what is wrong with you. So the same thing applies to this. By the time you compare 2 or 3, you can, oh, this is the actual cause of this problem. Then you can go and visit it. If your network is slow, doesn't mean that there is no bandwidth. Am I correct, my director? If your network is slow, because that's the way some people see it sometimes. If your network is slow, it doesn't mean that there is no bandwidth. If you see SSID and it's full, because some people will say, but this thing is full now, it's supposed to be fast. That doesn't mean that you have access to internet. At the back end there, where the internet is coming from, there might be no internet there. But because you see full SSID, doesn't mean that, full signal. From your SSID, you could see full signal. Doesn't mean that would automatically mean good internet. Are we getting it? So you need to put things together to be able to conclude that this is actually what is happening with the system. So this is just a brief of Grafana visualization. That is the work of Grafana. Now, main components of Grafana. We looked at that of Prometheus. So now we want to look at that of Grafana. So Grafana connect to various data sources, such as now in our case now is Prometheus. And what Prometheus does basically, like I say, is metrics. Metrics. And then it can also collect to your Elasticsearch, CloudWatch to pick information from there and do the interpretation for you. So it handles data sources query, authentication permission, alert processing, dashboard storage. So you can monitor, have a dashboard and have good view of what is happening in your system. Then it does the rendering. And then it also helps in your alert engine. And then at the whole, at the help me with that English. At the overall is the web-based UI for creating or achieving all this. I mean, there's a dashboard that will now help you to be able to see all that we are discussing here. So it's just the same flow you have here. You have your server here. You have your Prometheus server. Then it connects to either, you have your Grafana. The same way you will install your Prometheus, the same way you are going to install your Grafana. So you also have a Grafana server. Do we get it? You also have a server, a VM, that's also called Grafana, separate from that of the Prometheus. You can decide for practice purpose, but most time I don't like putting too many kind of application in the same server. You can do that, but sometimes it creates problem. By the time you are troubleshooting, trying to fix one, you create another problem for the other one. So in our class today, we are going to have 3 machines. Okay, let me not get there first. So this is our Grafana server. So it queries our Prometheus server. So we are the one that is going to connect the two together with the necessary information that will make the two to be able to communicate. And then you now have your user. Your user will be here. Then this is the dashboard. The alert will be sent to the dashboard. It retrieves the information query from here to the dashboard, and the interpretation is done. It can also send you an alert. Are we getting it? Please, I want us to. Do we understand this also for the Grafana? Okay. So now, this is just the combination now. What happens? I just decide to combine everything we have been talking about now. This is just the summary of everything. Now, the exporter. Look at this as your application or your server, whatever we have been talking about that we want to monitor. Look at it. This is it. So, on those application or those infrastructure, you install an exporters on them. So I told you that we have different type of exporter. So the exporter, we send those information to Prometheus. So Prometheus stores this thing in time series database and then does whatever the processing, whatever it wants to do. And then we connect the Grafana to the Prometheus. What Grafana helps us to do, it gives us a better visualization of whatever is happening on our system. And then it does the alerting. And then that's everything we have been discussing. This is just a kind of flow diagram. A summary of it. Any question? Okay.
Thank you, sir. So while monitoring it, and then you discover that there's a challenge or something, a concern through the alert system, can you like initiate some action through this process? Like, I mean,
okay, to auto fix, yeah, or maybe yes, auto fix, or maybe from here. No,
yes,
you have to now log into that server. You have to now log into the server, fix your problem. So this system doesn't fix any problem for you. It's just monitoring and observability.
Also, it's just like a one-way sort of information. It can't receive command to fix.
No. It's not like like I said the other time, class monitor. Sometime in some school, I remember when I was in primary school. My primary school was in the north. Our monitor then, we that were in primary 1, we have big boys, big people, and then we have smaller. So some of us, we are average. So sometimes when you make noise in the class, the monitor, I mean, they are always very big. They will flog you. You are in the same class, though. When the teacher is not in the class, they are the one in charge of the class. And when you make noise, you have group of people, you have big guys, and then you have the smaller ones. Just have them in categories like that. So when you make noise in the class, they will be the one to go and flog you, stop making noise. And you don't have any, you can't say anything. Who are you to say? If you see anything after closing again, it's another thing. You will gang up, beat you. Those things don't happen again. But then you have different, if someone beats you, you go and look for more people. After closing, we call it after closing. We will meet somewhere. So that one now, you monitor and you flog. But you know, this time around, if you have a class rep, anything that happens, you report it to your class teacher. Then your class teacher will now be the one to take action. So that is the way this one is happening. So the monitor can't do, on a good day, you are just to monitor. Just like the name, then observe. So, like he was also telling us yesterday, there are situations now that when things happen, auto-fixing. So things are being automated. AI is also helping to solve quite a number of challenges. So you can also, there could be a system also that could be injected into this, that when anything of such happens, auto-fix it. Like we were saying yesterday, when your system is being maximized, create another pod. You can have 200 pod. So when it's getting filled up, another one will automatically be created. That means something is monitoring it to know that such thing is happening. But it's not that thing that is monitoring it that is fixing the problem. But it can be built into, can be an all-encompassed solution. But for this one, it's not like that. It's just to monitor. Do I answer your question? Partially.
Yes, you do. So that means there's a possibility to have to design your own system that will be doing
auto-fix.
The auto-fix.
Yes.
To integrate with this.
Yes. You as an engineer, you can help us to achieve that.
Amen.
Thank you, sir. I'm just wondering, since Grafana allows me to visualize and also provides alerting, if I'm only interested in visualization, can I replace Grafana with Power BI? Can I?
Well, I don't think so. Oh, well, it's possible if you can manipulate. But it's not meant for such. It's not meant. I don't know how many of us is using Power BI here. Okay, apart from you, but it's not meant for such. You know, you have different visualization applications, and they are meant to visualize different for specific needs. Because you know there are configurations that you are going to do on Grafana that you can't do it on Power BI in terms of communication with the devices. Power BI cannot handle such. Do you understand? So you cannot use it. Okay. Well, there are other tools that you can use instead of Grafana. Question?
Hello, Engineer.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, just to add to what you have said, beautiful explanation you have given. For me, if Power BI supports scripting, all you need to do is to write a script that will fetch data from Prometheus, and you can build your own UI, which will allow you to do the visualization or configure a UI within Power BI. So scripting gives you opportunity to have flexibility. You can extend whatever is existing that you think is not okay for you. So that's just my comment on that.
Okay, thank you very much, sir, for the contribution, sir. Any other question? You want to? Okay. So do we understand it to this point? Okay. Let me see what's next. Okay. Is hands-on now. All that we have been discussing now, it's time for us to implement and see how it happens. My class, I didn't plan that my class will be now, and I want us to do this from the beginning. So I'm going to create 3 virtual machines. I was thinking afternoon is going to be my class, so to create the virtual machine before then, but because of the short time, so I've not created those virtual machines. So you will just give me I'm not sure if the tea break is ready, but it will take me 10 minutes to create the 3 virtual machines. Then we can so let me explain what is going to happen. maybe with that explanation, by the time we come back from the tea break, I will now do the installation. But let me explain what we want to do thereafter. I hope it won't go off. PC. Whiteboard. White. Okay, yeah. I want a whiteboard. We'll look at it later on. Okay. So I want to show you first so that you'll be able to visualize what we want to implement by the time we come back from the tea break. So we're going to have, this is one machine. I call this P. When you see P, that's our Prometheus server. Then I have this. This is our Grafana. Then, like I said, we're going to have 3 machines just for experimental purposes. Or is it experiment, I will call it now, demonstration. Then we're going to have a 3rd machine. So this is just going to be our application server. So these are VMs. These 3 are VMs. Yes, the 3 they are going to be Ubuntu server. These 3 machines they are going to be Ubuntu server. So on these, I will install Prometheus. On these, I will install Grafana. On these, I will install. So this is your application server. So you can install quite a number of things on it. But that time is not available for us. But we are going to install our node exporter. We're going to install node exporter on this. Just like someone asked a question the other time, we're also going to install, we can also install node exporter on this Grafana machine to monitor the Grafana itself. But we're going to install node exporter on this one too. Do we get it? Then we give each of them an IP address for communication. I would have loved to show you the way I will do it when creating the virtual machine, but because this thing will go live, there are some security things that I won't want it to go live. If it were to be inside here alone, I will show you how I will create the virtual machine, but there are things that I won't want to expose to the public. So I will just do it on my own, then we log into the virtual machine. But we did that in the second HPC. If you are here then, virtualization, creating your VM is part of what we did in our second HPC workshop. Yeah. Well, extensively. We even dismantle server, look at what is available. So the core, that's the second HPC. And if you look at that poster outside, you will even see some of the participants that came and were doing all those things together. So this is our Grafana. So this Grafana will communicate with this. Basically, so do we get it? So we'll go for break now. This is 10:30. So by the time we come back by 11, I want to believe that virtual machine will be ready. I have things that I can show you, but I want us to do it from scratch so that you understand the flow. At least let's do it for 1 hour and ask several questions, and then we'll be able to move on from there. Thank you very much. So when we come back in 30 minutes time, it's going to be purely practical. We are not doing anything theory again. The concept has been understood, then the remaining the implementation. Thank you. You say? Yes, I will share the slide, the command you will use. I can also direct you to the site. You will see the guide here. So like our instructor was, there's nothing to hide. All that I'm doing now is from the Prometheus and Grafana. It's just for us to understand this concept. And that's what he was also trying to drive yesterday. All these things are not difficult. You just get your time. It might take you like 1 month to understand the concept. But immediately you understand the concept, implementing will not be a problem. You just go, everyone in this world today, you go to the site there to read it, and then you implement it. It can take you some time to understand, but immediately you understand it, you fire on. So the command, you can be directed to the website to look at everything that it requires. So now that we understand the concept, I believe that we can even implement it on our own. Am I correct? You can implement it on your own. Thank you. So this is what we're going to be doing. I have this on the board. Please, let's look at the board. I hope the online participants are okay. So we have 3 machines that has been set up. And then I've given them their IPs. VM1 is going to be hosting our Prometheus. That's going to be Prometheus server. VM2 is going to be...
recording in progress.
VM2 is going to be our Grafana server. And I've also given it its own IP. VM3 is going to be the node that we actually want to monitor. And I've given him, that's what I call node, Grafana and Prometheus. So you know the essence of the IP. We are going to be accessing this machine via their IP addresses. So I will be doing that, and you will also be seeing that. I'll be doing it right on my screen, and I'll be explaining all that to you. So the username for VM1 is Prom. The username for VM2 is Graph. Then the username for VM3 is Node. So you watch as we implement. HMI. So please, as I'm doing this, I want us to ask questions. Please. I want it to be interactive. We have 1 hour, 30 minutes. We also need to maximize it very well. Okay? No, they are not on bridge. So I'm not using virtual desktop. I'm using real-time server virtualization. No, bridge is fine for you. Any of the one that's... So it's direct network. The fact is even that they are public IP addresses, so it's reachable anywhere in the world. So we see this. Can we see? Can we see? Can we see the screen? Okay, so what we're going to do right away, we assume that we are all server administrator. If we are not server administrator, we believe we have developer among us. We believe we have people that works on application, and I believe for some of us that have been in this institution for now, we've done quite a number of training on Linux. So we want to log into this server now via SSH. So we watch as we do that. So the first one we're going to log into is going to be our Prometheus server. The node is ready. We are not installing any special thing on the node. But we want to log into, we can't be interchanged. There's no problem. But we all have the idea of what I drew on the board before now, because that's where we are making reference to. So we are working on the Prometheus server now. And I want to log into the Prometheus server. So I'm going to SSH. And I said the username for Prometheus server is Prom. And then the IP is what? Being the first time that I'm logging into it, it's asking me all these questions. So I'm going to say yes, the fingerprint. So the password is no. That's why I say you should create your own. Multiple people cannot be working on this particular server. This is the IP. You know, before now I showed us this is for the Prometheus server. No. I'm outside. I SSH into it from my laptop and log into the server. This is the VM. This is the VM. Okay, can we? So I'm currently not on my. Okay, let me start again. Let me go back to. I want us to get it very well. Can I just show? Let me go back to the screen. Okay, so I don't need to remove this. Okay. This is it. These three machines, these are servers. They could be in the cloud. But this server I'm accessing now, they're in our data center. Do you get it? So they have in a virtualized environment. So where I have them, is a virtualized server environment. So I created 3 VMs. And that's, number 1 is Prometheus, and that's the IP. Number 2 is Grafana. Number 3 is the node. And based on what we discussed before now, do you get it? We will have, as in the concept we discussed before we got to this place, we have 3 things: Prometheus, Grafana, and the node, where we'll be doing installing the node exporter. So that's why we have this. So this node is going to be the machine that we want to monitor the CPU, the storage, the network, including any application installed on it. Do you get it? Then this is VM2, Grafana, that is going to give us the visualization of our metrics. The metrics this Prometheus is going to be harvesting for us. Do we understand? Please, do we get it? If you have questions, please ask. Like I said, it's the concept that is very much important. Any question? Or I should go back to the diagram, the presentation. Okay. So for you now, the VMs are here. You have console access. You might not need to do an SSH. Me, my own servers, they are not here. So I have to SSH into it wherever they are. So every step I take now, you also take it on your own. Do you get it? Yes, me have SSH. You don't need to SSH into your own. Your own is right beside you. Uh-huh. Any question? Okay. Okay, same question. Okay. So, do we understand? Okay. So the next thing, not when you install Linux machines like this operating system, it is always advisable first thing to just update if there are any things that you need to update. So I will take us through, I'll be sharing this with us. And we see this. So all the command, okay, again, let me say this. There are several methods by which you can install Prometheus and Grafana. But I picked the simplest because of our time. And it will so we are getting everything from the repository directly. You can also download the application, unzip it, and install it. You can also go through that. But this one, I just prefer to just get straight from the repository and then it install. So that's what we are doing now. Can we see this part very well? No, I will share everything. I will share that. All no, I think let's just look through it together. Let's do the installation together. Let's do it together. Thereafter, you go with this and practice it so that we can all connect together. Do we get it? So let's listen very well, and then you can begin to imagine things and be asking questions. Do you get it now? So I said we have several ways by which you can do this installation. You can download the application from Prometheus website. It's always zipped. Then unzip it and then install it. Then me, I've decided to say I'm not going through that process. This one is very fast. You understand? And then I'm getting all I want to get directly from their repository. Okay, so I said anytime you install a Linux machine, the first thing you are supposed to do before you start installing any application is for you to run the updates. So the first step, sudo apt install. Okay, I didn't put the update and install. Okay, but let's just do that. Who can tell me the command? So you know, okay, I want to be working as a root. Well, currently I'm not a root. I'm not the root because it's not always good as an administrator to work with your root account, as in using root as your username. It's not always good as an administrator. You create another user that also will have root privilege. So prom, like I showed us the other time, is the account that I have created, and it also has the root privilege. So, and then that means I'll be using sudo for my command. So, what? So actually have access as it's asking me, since I'm using sudo, it wants to be sure that truly speaking, I have the privilege, or just to confirm for security purposes. So I'm going to type the password. Oh, sorry, yeah. I'm not installing an app. Looking at it as if there's an application called install, and that's why it's saying that the package cannot be found or updated. So update is going on. Like I said, that's the rule of the thumb. Anytime you install an operating system newly, try to install the update. So the next thing is, like I said, we'll be making reference to this. So the first thing we want to install is what? Prometheus. Copy and paste. Press enter. You want to continue, blah, 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 blah. If you say no, that means you don't want to. So just say yes and continue. It's very, very easy. Even if you are not an administrator, even if you are not a programmer, understanding this concept is also very good. We're in the world of technology. Everything is IT, IT. So for you to understand this concept, even when you are working, interacting with people, you interact on a knowledge base. So don't say I'm not an administrator, I don't need this understanding. No. You need this fundamental in the world we have today. So please pay attention. So we are done. Prometheus is installed. I'll be explaining what the commands are to us. Just like we have said, okay. The next one is what? Sudo apps. Okay. This is the node exporter now. We can decide not to install the node exporter here, but because we also want to monitor the monitored, we want to monitor what is monitoring other systems. So we can install the node exporter too on it, just for a test too. Thank you for that sharp eyes. So everything is, I think it has also installed maybe when it was installing. So the next thing is what? Want to start this. Your system will slow us down. That's why I said, let's just focus on this. Thereafter, since the manual is here, it's something you can, or understanding the concept, so you can go and start installing it. But if we all follow very well, we can ask questions, then you go with this and then install. So the next thing now is, let me also let us know this. On the Linux system, all our, whatever we are installing, they are more or less like services. And then sometimes when you install some application, they don't start automatically. So you have to be the one to start those applications. So some you enable. So that's what we want to do now. We want to enable, and then we want to also start. But before I do that, let me, like I said, some could start automatically without you. Let's check if it's actually up now. That's the Prometheus and Grafana. So, sorry, Prometheus and the node exporter. So instead of enabling it, I want to check for the status first. Do you get it? The status of Prometheus that we have installed, I want to check it. So I will jump the section that says we should enable. So I said sudo. What I want to do now is I want to check the status, whether it's up or down. You can see that it's actually active and running. So I might not necessarily, it has been automatically enabled. Yeah. So I might not necessarily need to do this. Again, I can also check for that of the node exporter. You can see how easy it is. You have installed Prometheus within 3 minutes. has also been enabled and is active and running. So we might not necessarily need to run this command. Well, if we face any problem, then we can go back, or maybe just to be sure that, but we can see it's running. So the next thing we need to do now is go to our web. Prometheus run on port 1990. It listens on, every services too has a port that it operates, default port. You can decide to change the port for security purposes. But the default port for Prometheus to run is port 1990. So let's see if our Prometheus is working. So you can even do that yourself. Yes. You can go to your web. Yes, I want you to do that. Go to your web and type this URL. Just type the IP address. You know the IP address? Let me just go to your web, type 165.73.201.241 column 1990. Let's see. Did it take you to that place? Yeah, there. Okay. Yeah. You can see we are done with it. We have installed we have installed Prometheus. That's the first stage. Do we understand? You can see how simple it is. There's another method, but I know that one might be wasting our time a bit. So that's why I don't want to go through that. No, you can't say it's the best. That is it. That's our Prometheus. You will still see that's just the beginning. So the next thing we have to do now is to do what? Okay, let's see if our node exporter is working. We install it on the Prometheus server, but like I said, we have different type of exporter, but this one is node exporter. So let's see whether the node exporter for this particular machine is also working. Do the same thing. The only thing you will change thereafter is just, instead of 1990, 9100. Can someone check and confirm that is up? Because without that, there's no way it's going to export anything. Is up. Is it up? Okay. So exporter is also working. Online participants, are we also following? So they can also access it wherever they are. Online participants, can I hear from them? Please, can one person just make a comment? Are we there? Online? Okay. So you can also access the, okay. So now, if you look at number 3, for security purpose, this is also a HPC, we call this HPC-ACE because security is also very, very important. By default, most time, when you install operating system like this, most of the ports could be open. So it's even advisable for you to close all the ports, though we are not going into that now. So it is assumed that if those ports are open, this is the command you will use to open those ports to be able to communicate. So as a server administrator, ensure that you don't leave your ports open except the one that is useful. So when you're on the cloud, to say the fact, when you set up application on the cloud, let's assume on Azure, on Google Cloud, or AWS, most time by default, those easily. And okay, one thing that I like about working in cloud environment is this. Those things, you do them with a click. They are like services. Sometimes you don't need to log in even to the machine itself. They've provided something that you will just click, select. Instead of you running them through the command, you just select. You want to block all the ports and allow only one. You might not need to type any command. Just do. Someone else. So what I'm trying to pass across here is that if the ports are closed, these are the commands that we use to open the port. But in our own case, we are not doing that now. The ports are open.
Sorry, sir. My question is, how do I know if Prometheus has been installed on my own?
If window.
No, Prometheus. It has been installed on my
The same thing we
system.
do. You know the IP address of your system. So check for the IP. The virtual
I
machine.
did it on my terminal.
Yes.
I did these instructions on my terminal.
No, you can do where you go. Check for your IP on the virtual machine you created. Check for the IP. Then you will now go to your so this is it. Let me explain this to us. If you are running a virtual machine, most especially if it's virtual desktop. Dr. John asked a question the other time. He asked if I'm running in a breach, or the other one is host only. It's been longer. So if it's either breach, if you breach it, that means it's going to be working with the existing network you connect to. It's going to pick IP from the existing network. So, and then if you decide, you can just segment it and have an internal network of its own. So it won't connect to the network you connect to. Do you get it? So I don't know which you are operating. Is it breach? If it's a breach, then the IP of this environment, of this place, that's the IP it's going to pick. So on a good day, it's a server. You're supposed to give it a fixed IP. In the course of configuring that server, it will ask you for an IP. You can make it dynamic if you want, but as it's a server, you should not make it dynamic. You should give it a fixed IP. So which I believe you should have done. So it's with that IP you will now use to access it. Do you get it? The only thing is that I didn't show us when I was creating this VM. And so that is that. Now we are done about installing. So let's go to the next stage. So we have done our verification. So the next thing we want to do now, we talk about a YAML file that we are going to as Prometheus YAML file that we want to configure. So the first thing we want to do is to monitor the the Prometheus server itself before we now even go to the actual node that we want to install. We've also installed a node exporter on it. So what we want to do now is we want to monitor that Grafana itself. So we will log into the Prometheus So the next thing we want to do is that we'll be going to the Prometheus, the YAML file, Prometheus YAML file. So, who can tell me the type of editors we have? Me, I like using Nano. No, some people like Vim, like Taiwo. I know. VI. Okay. So we have VI, we have IK-Ikeja too. Do you know about that? Okay, so I'm doing sudo. This is the file that we want to edit now. So we click on enter. So yes, this is the YAML file. So let me take you back to the slide again. So look at this slide now. Let me enlarge it. Yes, it's existing. It comes with the Prometheus. When I was explaining, when I was installing, all those things will come. Yeah, it comes with by default. So you are now supposed to be editing and adding your node and all that. You get it. So it comes with it. Yeah. So let's look at this point number 5 very well. Let me enlarge it. Let me put it in a slide mode. So I will take us back to the YAML file, but I want us to be able to visualize it very well, yeah? So we have different kind of setting in the YAML file. We have the global. This is talking about scrap interval, the seconds it will take for it to be getting those information. This job name refers to the server that you want to monitor. It has a name. So that's the name here. Yeah? Then this target means the target system, those machine I show, those 3. That's the target. So, and that's where you are going to put the IP. And then, yes, this is the static, this is the target. So it all depends on what you want to do. That if you want to monitor the application too, it has its own. But basically, we want to do for the node now. And then we get forward, move forward. So you will see all this in the YAML file. Do you get it? So we will configure our own YAML file now. Yes. So now I want someone to tell me, let me not this stage. So so now you can see our local machine under so it's going to be under, is this scrape you call it now? Scrape, okay. Scrape config. So the job name is Prometheus. And then the target system is going to be doing it at an interval of 5 seconds. And then just scroll down, you now see static config, the target system. So our own target system is the local host. And we can leave it like this. So if, let's assume that is another node that we want to monitor now. We are just going to, in this same format, we are just going to type the IP address there. As simple as that. The same port, of course, it's going to be the same port. Do we get it? The same port number, everything communicates with the same port number. Do we get it? And then under this static, then at this place, you are now going to add that name. So it's just come under this line. You have another job, hyphen name, column. You can just copy this and just edit the Prometheus alone. For the next node, when we are doing for that one, you will see it. I'm just using that to explain now. So that, do you get it? By the time we want to monitor the other node, we'll just come back here and under this job, under this place. So what you will just do, because most time you have to be, when it comes to this configuration file, most time it's always even advisable to first back it up. Because anything that happened to a config file, sometimes you might not, it has happened to me that I have to reinstall the server again because I couldn't just find out what the error, I finished editing the file. Just for me to now restart, started giving me different error. At the end of the day, after spending hours, just say, no, I don't know where the error is. I have to install another one again. So most time, if I had backed up the file, it's just for me to restore back to the file and do my changes again. So most time it's always good to do a backup of your config file before you start doing anything. Anyhow, there are several ways to the market. You can also do it that way. So what I'm trying to say is this. For this now, this is the job. You just need to copy this. Don't even bother yourself typing. Just copy this like this. I like it. And paste it below it. So what you will now just need to do is just to edit what is inside there in the other one. Am I communicating? Okay. So we would, No, the variable names is different. No. The variable names are not. We have this is the this will be the variable. And so all of them are jobs. They are different jobs now. No. So who is a programmer here? You are talking from the okay.
So sorry, that's not how it works. So if you have multiple jobs, just like you explained, you have to list all of them the same way. Each of them recognizes the hyphen there, makes it a list. So this is a list. So each of them are items. So if he gets to the first item, he executes it, go to the next one, execute that, go to the next one, execute it until he elapses every of the items in the list.
Thank you very much. Online participants, are we following? There was a question that was raised that, can you ask that question again?
I was asking where you have the same variable name, you have job name, and you have different value. You repeat the same thing. When an interpreter, a compiler, is going through the code, if it sees the same variable name, it's going to only execute one, the last one, because of the previous ones will be the same variable name.
We got an answer to his question from Mr. Freeman, telling us that he's going to see it as a list. After executing the first one, it executes. So he's seeing them as a list, not as, okay. So are we clear? Are we clear? Okay. Like I said, it's very straightforward. Just like I will keep repeating because I like the concept of yesterday's class. There's nothing that is hard. Yes, it can take your time if you have that time to sit down with it. It can take you 1 month, yes, depending on the rate of our assimilation or understanding. When you keep sitting down with it, you just get to see that there's nothing big about all these things. Okay, so what do we want to do? Okay, so we assume that we want to monitor our server, our Prometheus server, which we have done. So the next thing we would like to do is to go to, okay, is to go to our Prometheus server now. So let me go to it myself. Hello. So I want to check the status of our targets. Okay. Can we see? Can we see? Clearly. Okay. So, okay, what I did now is that, okay, there are other things that you can do. Like I said, I just want a simpler thing. Giving it a username and a password. You can see all of us could access it now. None of you even asked that question. That means that everyone can just access this. Is that? So you are supposed to create a username and password for the access. But we didn't go through that procedure just because this is just a test. Like I said, I just want to make it as simple as possible for us to understand the concept. Yeah, by default, that is the way it is. So you have to now set it up yourself. So you click on status, target. So can we see? So now we can see that our Prometheus server is up. I will do something thereafter before we go to Grafana. You can see it's monitoring itself. This is the endpoint. We are we installed, what did we install? Node exporter on it. So with that, it's able to monitor itself on the local port 19 9100 for the exporter. So that is why he's saying the state is up. Do we get it? So what we'll do now is that we'll go to our node now. We'll be jumping just there. I just want us to understand the concept very well. We'll go to our node and install what? Node exporter. And then we'll now go and add it on the YAML file of the Prometheus. And then we're now going to monitor it from here. We will see that it will also show up here. At some point, we will put it off. So now, since we have a monitoring system here, it will show us everything about it. This is just the beginning. It's just showing up or down. There are other things we will monitor when we get to the Grafana aspect of it. Are we getting it? So now, what I'm going to do is that from the 3 systems I showed us, I'm going to the 3rd one now, not the Grafana now. I'm going to the node and then to install what? The node exporter. So who can tell me what I will do here? I want to go to the 3rd server, the node. What should I do? Okay. Oh yeah, tell me the command. Please give him mic. Tell me the command to run. I want to remotely log in into my server. That's the node that I will be installing my application, my database. That's my SQL. It could be MariaDB. It could be whatsoever. So I want to SSH to it. So what is the command?
Okay, SSH space the username, which is node, at the IP, which is 165.73.201.243.
Okay, please. Okay, if you even try to log into it, you don't know the password, so I kept the password. You know the username, but you don't know the password.
Okay.
So this is the first time we are logging into it. So what will you answer? What will your answer be? The fingerprint.
Yes. Are you sure you want to continue? Yes.
No.
We can decide not to continue.
Yes. Okay. And then I will use my password. So we are there. That's why I gave it the name node. So anytime we want to enter into this server in the Prometheus, when we want to configure it, you know, the other place we saw Prometheus. So this one we are going to edit it to what? Node. Do you get it? And then what do we want to do now? For us to be able to monitor it on Prometheus, we want to do something. What is that thing we want to do? What type of exporter? Node exporter, exactly. So we can just say apt sudo Prometheus hyphen node hyphen exporter. Yes, the other one, yes, like I explained the other time, I install it on the Prometheus so that we can also monitor the Prometheus, and that is what we just checked now. Now I'm installing it on this machine again because I want to monitor this machine. If I don't want to monitor it, there's no need for me to install the node. So any machines you want to monitor, you must install the node exporter on it. And like I said, we have different type of exporter. When we yes, we have different type of exporter. So whatsoever you want to monitor, you have to install that type of exporter, or else you will not be able to see it in your Grafana when you are about to monitor it. Do you get it? Because that special exporter will be the one harvesting the kind of resources that exporter is all about and granting it to Grafana, and then from Grafana to granting it to Prometheus, and then from Prometheus to Grafana. So I click enter my password. So what do you want to continue? This time around is Y. So it's installing now. So who can tell me, after this installation is complete, what is the next thing we're supposed to do? No, before going to the YAML file, check the status. Exactly. So we can check the status to be sure it's running. Or we just decide to run it, just enable and then start the service. But like we saw the other time, the service has already started, so there's no need for us to do that. On assumption, okay. It's always good not to work based on assumption. Okay, so we are done. Okay, so the next thing now, we go back to our what's it called now? Prometheus. Hello, class. Who can tell me the next thing we're supposed to do? Now that we confirm that it's running, we go back to Prometheus. Okay. And what's the IP? 241. So we come here and we had it. So this is what I was saying the other time. Now we have another node that we want to monitor. So what we need to do is to come. Sorry. Don't scatter it. Doesn't want to copy. No, Mars will do it. Copy. No, for me to move around now, I need to use my keyboard. So I come here like this. So I click enter. So I can give a little space and then control. So let me ensure that sometimes these lines are also very important. If they are not well aligned, it can cause a little challenge. So do we get it? So what's the next thing I'm supposed to do? So after this, what's the next thing? Before saving, since I'm still in the file, there's still something I'm supposed to do. Who can tell me? The IP address. Thank you. So I'll just come the same way, this static config. We can experiment quite a number of things here. I don't think there's I can decide to come and clean up this local host. Now, by the time we go back there, you will not be able to monitor it again. So for this now, what are we going to do? We are going to just change the local host to that IP. The port numbers still remain the same. And what's that IP? 165.73. Dot what? 201.243 is the node. The node is 3. Prometheus is 241. Grafana is 242. Then the node is 243. So we want to write. Ports still remain the same. So can I exit? Control X is asking me if I want to save. Yes. Enter. On a good day, what you're supposed to do is to restart the server. Right.
Installed the node exporter on the Prometheus. So I want to ask, is that what is enabling us to see it on the target? I mean, see the able to monitor.
Fine. Come again with your question.
No, we installed the node exporter on the Prometheus. So I want to ask if that is what enables us to be able to see, monitor the Prometheus server itself.
Exactly. Anything, yeah. Anything you want to monitor, like I said, you have to install node exporter. Depending on what you want to monitor, we determine the kind of exporter you are going to install.
Yes. So that means if we don't,
if we don't install it, you won't be able to monitor it.
In this target.
Exactly.
Oh.
So we could have even, yes, but that's just it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, let me just show you first even from the PowerPoint. That's why I showed us this PowerPoint before. So these are the section we change. But we can still go to the file. But before we went to the file, I let us see it here very well before we go to the file. So these are things that we need to change, at least for this basic one we are doing. This config file, yes, is from the Prometheus server. This is in Prometheus. Everything will be changing. Every node we want to monitor, we have to go to this config file, this Prometheus config file, and be changing and be adding. It's like what do you call those things before now? Like when you are doing DNS, text record, all those kind of things. So you do it before it used to be on a file. So you just go there and be adding. So if you have like 10 additional nodes that we want to monitor, the only thing we just need to do is that we go to that node, we install node exporter on them, every one of them, and then we will now come to this file on the Prometheus. We will now add them one after the other. That list we are talking about now will now be about 10 lists and then 10 IPs. That's clear. Okay. Please, let me find out from the online participants if they are with us. Online participants. Sorry, I need to restart it. But let me see something. Okay. We need to restart. Oh, sorry. I'm not supposed to run this command here. I'm supposed to run it on the Prometheus. This is where I'm supposed to. You asked why am I restarting? You know, we just finished configuring a file. So most time when you finish reconfiguring a file, maybe for a service, you have to restart the service for that changes to take effect. Do you get it? If you look at what, okay, let me show you. Before now, I came here. Let me see. Okay. Okay, sorry, I'm coming. Okay, I'm still not seeing the system here. Okay, just yes. No, you are not just putting it anywhere. You are adding it based on. Let me show you again. So this is the config file. If there's an error, by the time we are reloading, the system will not reload it to come up with an error message. This is alert, scrap, under scrap, or script. Node. Then you go to IP 165.273.201.243.1990. Yeah. Or oh. No, what is the this is 1990. Oh, sorry. It's 911 9100. Oh. No, but is this supposed to be? Sorry, I'm coming. The exporter is listening on port 9100. Yeah, that's true. So we are supposed to edit this. I think that's the reason.
Hello, Njebola.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was also thinking that the name you gave to that server, won't it also, especially for user friendliness now, you know, the node exporter is already named as node. And the third server, the third VM, you also gave it node as a name. You understand? I'm just talking of user friendliness now. Isn't it better to give it a different name rather than node?
Okay, though I've already configured it. Do you get what Prof was?
Anyway, but just expatiate on that.
Yes, okay. Thank you very much, sir, for that. So what Prof is saying now is this, just for, so because we should be able to understand the system very well and not to, so that we will not confuse ourselves. And then I name it node. I was just looking at it as a node. That's why I gave it node. But it can also bring confusion because we have several things like job name. It can confuse us with some other node. But unfortunately, I've already configured the server right from the beginning to carry the name node. Do we get it? Like if you look at this file now, job name is node. So that's another node. So I could have given it a special name that's a unique kind of name. Do we get what, Prof? So And nomenclature is very, very important when it comes to working on server, working on system, because you assume you are not the only one working on the system. Another person can come tomorrow and want to work on the system. So you should always give a very good descriptive name that tells about and that will not bring any ambiguity. Do you get it? That's what our prof is trying to call our attention to. Do we get that? Okay. Sorry. Is it the okay? That's what Prof is trying to say. No, there are different services. This is great. Like I said, there are different type of exporter. So depending on the exporter you are working with, will determine the config aspect of that you are going to go and add those IP to. You have different type of services. So Prometheus will definitely enlighten us on there are files that will tell you this is what you are supposed to go and change. Let's assume is your database you want to monitor. It might not be this one that we are editing that will be editing. Do you get it? Uh-huh. So we have, if you see, we have quite a number of things from the top down here. And there are other things that you can even add, different from what we are seeing currently on the config file. No, the port number, I've edited the port number because, yes, this is the target. Like, okay, let me show you something. You can see this place is job node name. Are you seeing it? Okay, so let me go up now. You can see a different name. This you can see another job node, but it's under scrap config or scrape config. So if you go down, this other one you are seeing is under another thing like job name. So you can edit as much as you want. You can even the same. That's just it. You can edit add just because we are only doing for node now. So we are not doing for other. There are quite a number of things that you can do for. When we want to install the Grafana, you will be more enlightened because you will see quite a number of things that I will be able to show you that will make you understand why they are like this. Do you get it? What is up? Okay, so let's do something. Hmm? Yes, I've reloaded it. Maybe I need to start the service itself. Okay, so sudo oh sorry. Hello, can I the person making comment on like can I talking about node? Can I hear your comment? Abraham 165.73. 143.243.9100. I get is correct under scrap. No, this is for a different thing. We are working for this scrap. So this is where we should put the IP address. So let me check. So the challenge now is the node should appear here under this target. We should be able to see additional node here. Are you getting it? We are supposed to see the 243 here. And we are not seeing it. So that's what I'm trying to troubleshoot. Okay. We want to make this last moment very, very snappy. So let's just cooperate. Under 30 minutes, let's be done. This is already 20 minutes to 5. So briefly, let me just show you. You know where we stopped? We've configured our Prometheus server, like I said before now, but there was an error message. Or was it an error message, or just the fact that one of the node we configured to monitor a misconfiguration? Okay. So we had a misconfiguration. Thank you, engineer Mrs. Sweet William. So, and then we've been able to correct the misconfiguration. Earlier on, when we were configuring the Prometheus, if you could remember, Professor Adetibag raised an observation using the word node in naming our the server we want to monitor, which was actually the problem. The node, I would say, is a reserved word in that configuration file. So it was until I edited that node name, then it was able to show. So that was just the only error message. Oh, sorry. That was the only misconfiguration. Let me use that word that we actually had then. So are we clear? So we can fire on. So the next thing we just want to do now is to quickly install Grafana. So can we see this? We can see that it's been monitored. Let me go. Normally you just go to here, click on target. There are other things we can do, but there's no time for that. So let's just quickly go to Grafana and display this configuration on Grafana, monitor the CPU, the hard disk, and all that. So let's just quickly do that. So what I will do now is to open my, then I quickly SSH Grafana. The username is graph at 165.73.201.242. So yes. Sorry. Yes. The password is please let me have your attention here. We just have 20 minutes. So we go back to our Okay. Yeah, I experienced this when I was doing it. So what we need to do is just to require packages. Yeah. Please, are we following? So we are installing. Okay, what actually happened is the package was not actually, we couldn't get the package. So we need to add to the system the repository so that we can easily pick up the package. And that's what we're doing. So now we can go back to installing Grafana itself.
All right, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
I would like to ask, in case you have several maybe VMs instances you want to monitor, how do you place? How do you maybe configure the static configs side of the configuration file, so that because I did one came up, one it said is not coming up. So I would like to know, how do we arrange those IP?
Just list it accordingly.
The
Just
IP address.
Under it, yes. I can show you. Just the, okay, I will show you when we get there.
All right, thank
Yeah.
you.